Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, what up, everybody? Antoine Fantoine here, internet's busiest music nerd, doing a quick, raw iPhone review today of this new Paul White EP, Accelerator, featuring performances from the one and the only Mr. Danny Brown, who, if you didn't know, came out with the album of the year last year, freaking Atrocity Exhibition. Amazing album. So anyway, this EP almost slipped by me because it's named after Paul White. It's technically a Paul White EP, but Danny Brown is on half of the thing, and these tracks sound like songs that could have made it onto Atrocity Exhibition. But in a lot of respects, Paul, his beats, they really kind of steal the show, especially with there being instrumental versions of the two songs, Accelerator and Lion's Den, featured on the album over here. And also, you know, while a lot of these moments on these songs sound like cuts, sound like musical spots that could have been on Atrocity Exhibition, I see why they wouldn't have made it onto the record. Accelerator lyrically doesn't really add too much more to the album that the other songs didn't already, and Lion's Den features a Danny Brown flow that I've heard so many times on so many tracks that it's not necessarily exciting at this point. You know, I think it was, you know, probably the best decision to either have these songs just be afterthoughts or just off the album entirely. But having said that, what really does steal the show, again, are the instrumentals. Accelerator has this kind of tense rhythm that just does not let up. And there are these weird, noisy guitars that kind of, I don't know, just layer over one another, cascade over one another, in this really kind of psychedelic way. There's even a solo at the back end of the song, which is, it's a little rough. It's not the best composed solo in the world, you know, but it definitely kind of brings a gnarly tone and vibe to the song that I like a lot. There's a certain rawness to this track that is like has a really strong rock vibe to it. You know, it's so cool that this song and so many other tracks off of Atrocity Exhibition sort of had this really strong rock instrumentation tone to them. But still, you know, feel like hardcore hip-hop songs, still feel like true blue hip-hop songs. It doesn't feel like Danny is crossing over genre-wise or anything. You know, and a lot of that is due to the great production of Paul White, how he's sort of able to transform these sounds into something that's palatable for another genre entirely, for another music listening audience entirely. Then there's Lion's Den, which has an equally awesome beat, also very tense, but I think a lot of the melodies and a lot of the sounds worked into this track are a lot smoother. There are these really weird, sort of playful, just odd French vocal samples that are thrown throughout the song that are kind of silly and weird, that I like a lot. Paul White definitely adds a lot of color to his beats, a lot of interesting samples, so much so that it's like kaleidoscopic. It's just really overwhelming, trying to eat it all up. But yeah, he sort of really steals the show with his beats on here. I understand why this is more of a Paul White EP than it is a Danny Brown EP. But if you're a Danny Brown fan and you loved Danny's last album, you're going to like hearing these two songs. You're going to like what is brought to the table. Instrumentally, definitely. Maybe the lyrics aren't the most exciting because, again, much of what you've heard on Atrocity Exhibition also kind of explored on these tracks. But, you know, just because it's not brand spanking new doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth checking out, that it's not worth picking up, that it's not worth listening to. So this is just kind of a quick video describing that, and just recommending this to anybody who, like me, this might have sort of flown under the radar because of the labeling, because of the naming of this EP. But good on Paul White on getting these tracks out, getting these extra Danny Brown songs out there, and putting together two more amazing instrumentals, which just kind of says to me, like, I hope they work together again in the future. I mean, you know, obviously I would want to hear something new, sort of a new direction or something refreshing from Paul White and Danny Brown the next time they do work together. But still, like, for them to have come together with so many tracks on Atrocity Exhibition and then have these two songs over here, which are also fucking awesome and off the wall, I just sort of wonder how deep that rabbit hole goes, because together they just put together some of the most insane hip-hop music I've heard this year. So that's it, guys. Just wanted to recommend that to you. Check out this EP, and I will see you in the next video forever.